This video is brought to you by no one, because I don't have any sponsors. I just finished rewatching How I Met Your Mother for the 4th or 5th time, but most importantly, for the first time in 8 or 9 years. Probably 10, honestly. I was watching it with my girlfriend who had never seen it before and knew absolutely nothing about the show beforehand. I realized that our experiences watching the show was completely different based on the single fact that I knew the ending and she didn't. That small detail reframes so many scenes of the show to be taken in a whole new way on a rewatch. The whole time I was watching it, I didn't think that I was going to make a video because there are plenty of videos about this show, and especially the ending. And then we got to the ending and I realized I just have to talk about it. Mostly how the ending changes the entire show and quite a bit of defending a whole bunch of the show. So of course there will be spoilers, so if you don't know what happens or you haven't seen it and you want to, I highly suggest going in blind. I need to preface this video by saying a couple things. How I Met Your Mother is one of my favorite shows of all time, and in my professional opinion is the greatest sitcom of all time. And for those of you who don't know, the show isn't really about how he meets the mom, it's about the group of friends, and if you disagree with me, please tell me how 3rd grade is going. For those of you who don't know, How I Met Your Mother was a sitcom on CBS that lasted 9 seasons from 2005 to 2014. It tells the story of Ted Mosby telling the story of how he met the mother of his children to his children. That's the framing of the story, but like I said earlier, that doesn't really matter. It's all about the gang. Ted, the main character, Robin, Barney, Marshall, Lily, and all the various hijinks that they get into. Some life lessons, and also Ted's love life, but I'll get to that. And getting to that, I'm going to try and keep this brief as possible while explaining what happens. But I need to go into a bit more depth for the first episode. It's kind of the most important episode. Old Ted starts telling his kids how he met their mom. He lives in New York City with his roommate from college, Marshall, and Marshall proposes to his girlfriend, Lily. They're all old friends from college. They go way back. Ted goes down to the bar and talks with his other friend, Barney. There, he sees this girl. They talk and go out on a little date. Ted should have kissed her, doesn't, steals a blue French horn, tells her that he loves her, makes a big speech about love, should have kissed her, doesn't, and then at the end of the episode, it's revealed that this girl is Aunt Robin, not the mom. Let me just say that again. It's revealed that Ted does not end up with Robin, but with someone else. The pilot sets up a lot, but that is the most important thing to take away. That, and the fact that Ted and the mom won't meet until the very end of the show. That's how the story ends, with them meeting, hence the name. What else happens in season 1? There's a John Berthal cameo. Ted keeps trying to get with Robin, but it doesn't work. He meets with Victoria, so then Robin wants him back. Victoria moves to Germany. Ted cheats on her with Robin, but they both find out. Then at the end of the season, Ted and Robin finally get together, but Marshall and Lily break up and Lily moves to San Francisco. Then season 2 is spent with Ted and Robin together with the fallout of Marshall and Lily. Eventually, Lily comes back and they get back together, her and Marshall, and it's revealed that Barney went to San Francisco and got Lily to come back, W. Barney. The season ends with Marshall and Lily's wedding and Ted and Robin breaking up because Ted wants to get married and have kids and Robin doesn't. Also, slap bet.
Dude, your hand is monstrous.
Oh, well, what'd you expect? You've seen my penis.
Season 3 is mostly spent with Ted being single and the stories that come from that. Most notably, Ted gets a tramp stamp, and there's this episode where Ted and Barney go out drinking on St. Patrick's Day, and it turns out that the mom was at that same club that same night. But they don't meet. But Ted does end up stealing her yellow umbrella. It's important, and the symbolism is nice. Ted decides to get the tramp stamp removed, and in doing so, he meets Stella, does some cute shit, and then they start dating. Barney and Robin hook up, and Ted gets upset, so he and Barney stop being friends, but Ted gets in a car crash, and because of that, Barney gets hit by a bus, and then they become friends again. And at the end of the season, Ted proposes to Stella. We don't find out what she says until the start of season 4, she says yes. But And I shit you not, she leaves him at the altar in episode 5. Marshall starts working with Barney at the bank. Marshall and Lily move out and Robin moves in with Ted and they start fucking, but it's cool and casual. This upsets Barney because he's kind of in love with Robin ever since they hooked up last season. Ted finds this out and stops things with Robin because he's a fucking bro. Speaking of Ted, Barney, and now Marshall's job, is looking to make a new headquarters, and since Ted is an architect, did I mention that? Well, Ted is an architect and he gets hired to design and build the new building, but that gets put on pause, so Ted gets fired, and then he decides to become a professor. Barney and Robin finally decide to get together, and we see Ted teaching his first class, and the mom is in that class. At the start of season 5, we see that first class, and it turns out that Ted was in the wrong class. Ha ha. Barney and Robin spent the summer fucking and then decide to really get together, and then they break up. Ted starts dating a grad student, and it turns out that her roommate is the mom. Ooh, spicy. Robin starts dating her coworker. Ted buys a house, which turns out to be the very place he's telling this story. And then at the end of the season, Marshall and Lily decide to have a kid. Season 6 starts a little ways down the road, and it's revealed that Ted meets the mom at a wedding, this very wedding. And at the end of this first episode, we learn that Ted is the best man at this wedding. A lot happens this season, so I'm gonna break it down by characters. First, let's go with Robin, because she had the least to do. Also, I haven't mentioned this yet, but Robin used to be a Canadian pop star. Not that important, I just wanted to mention it. Anyways, Robin does news things, gets a new job at a different news place, and sets Barney up with her coworker. So let's talk about Barney. He never knew his dad, but finds out who he really is and finally talks to him in a great episode. He and Nora, that's the girl that works with Robin, they don't work out at first, but at the end of the season they run into each other and agree to get some coffee, but Robin is there and doesn't seem too thrilled about that. Then let's talk about Marshall and Lily. They spend the whole season raw dogging and telling everyone about it, but then Marshall's dad dies in one of the saddest moments in TV history. This is a big deal and a bunch of stuff happens, but Marshall quits his job and becomes an environmental lawyer, and at the end of the season, Lily is pregnant. And last but not least, Ted. Barney's job decides to build the new building again, and they get Ted to build it just like before, but there's this protester trying to save the building that's going to be torn down for the new one. She's married, then gets divorced, then they get together, her and Ted. None of this really matters because they always fight and break up after the building fails to get protected. Then in the final episode, we jump forward a little ways down the road back to the wedding that Ted meets the mom at, and it's revealed that Barney is the one getting married. Season 7 starts a little ways down the road back at the wedding with Ted and Barney, but what actually happens during the season? Barney is still dating Nora, the girl from last season, like 15 seconds ago, remember her? Robin meets Kevin, he's a therapist, and they start dating, but at one point, Robin and Barney cheat on their partners, and then they agree to break up with them and get together instead. So Barney tells Nora and they break up, but Robin doesn't tell Kevin and they stay together. Fucking love that episode. But then Robin finds out that she can't have kids and Kevin dumps her, not because of that, but because of that. Ted tells Robin he still loves her, but she doesn't feel the same way and she moves out. Ted also moves out and Marshall and Lily move in. Barney starts dating Quinn, she's a stripper. At the end of the season, Barney proposes and she says yes. Lily has the kid and Ted meets back up with Victoria, the girl from season 1, and she's getting married, but she runs off with Ted on her wedding day. Then, a little ways down the road, the wedding where Ted meets the mom, it's revealed that Barney is marrying Robin. Season 8 starts a little ways down the road at the wedding, and Robin is freaking out a bit. This is also where Victoria was going to get married, so we jump back in time. Ted and Victoria break up because of Robin. Barney and Quinn break up because they don't trust each other, and they need to somehow get Barney and Robin together. Robin was also dating someone, which wasn't really important, but they break up. Barney and Robin smooch, but Robin doesn't want to be with Barney, so Barney does the Robin from the playbook, and they get engaged. Ted starts dating a crazy stalker, and he finds a band for the wedding. That grad student from season 5, her roommate, if you recall, is the mom, but is also in a band and gets hired for the wedding. Ted also breaks up with the crazy girl. Lily got hired as an art consultant and her boss wants to move them to Italy, but at the end of the season, while Marshall is in Minnesota, that's where he's from, he gets a call to be a judge and says yes. Ted also decides that after the wedding, he's gonna move to Chicago because he can't be around Robin. There's also this whole big thing about a locket and Ted trying to find it for Robin. So the season ends with all the characters heading to the wedding where Ted meets the mom, and we, the audience, finally see the mom. There's also a bunch of great scenes this season talking about the mom and when they meet, and they don't really fit into the recap, but they are amazing. In case you were wondering, it's the end of the first episode and the Time Travelers episode. Season 9, and there's no other way to say this, takes place over the course of the entire weekend of the wedding. Now, normally I would be into something like this. It's a neat idea. However, making basically 22 episodes fit into 56 hours of real time in a completely different setting and format that the show is known for is certainly a choice. I remember watching it live and hating it. It took half a year to watch, but binging it wasn't that bad. I liked it a lot more. What actually happens during it? It's mostly tomfoolery around the wedding, wrapping up old jokes and plot points and some drama. There's also a lot of flash forwards, so we get to see Ted and Tracy, the mom, together, which is nice. Throughout the season, all the characters besides Ted meet the mom, and again, she's great. She even gets her own episode, which is amazing, and it had my girlfriend bawling like a baby. I'm going to break the rest up into two sections, the season and the finale, because they feel like two completely different things. Marshall spends half the season traveling back to New York and then fights with Lily about going to Italy, but it turns out that Lily is pregnant and they end up moving to Italy. Ted spends the weekend being weird around Robin and Barney because he still has feelings for Robin, but then in a really important moment finally moves on and lets go of Robin. Barney and Robin get married, and that takes us to the two-part finale, and I'm going to skip Marshall and Lily because they don't really matter at this point, and looking back, they didn't really matter at all in terms of the story of Ted meeting the mom. I mean, they matter in terms of the show, but not the story within the show. Anyways, there's this big goodbye since Ted is moving to Chicago, but it turns out he's not moving to Chicago because he meets the mom. But we'll get to that. There's a lot of time jumping going on. We see more of Ted and Tracy's life together and what happens with them. Barney and Robin break up because they were always unhappy together. Barney goes back to his ways, then ends up having a kid. Robin's always busy and away with work. We find out that the mom got sick and fucking died. And then, after 9 fucking years, we finally see how Ted meets the mom, and it's fucking amazing. One of the best scenes in the entire fucking show. And then, because we're not fucking done yet, sorry, I'm getting a little hot over here, his kids say the only reason he told them that story is because he still wants to bone Aunt Robin, and that he should go for it because Tracy has been dead for 6 years, so he should try to move on. So Ted, mirroring the first episode, gets the blue French horn and holds it up for Robin. Oh my god. I always say it's gonna be brief, but it takes so much longer. And with that, I have finally reached the point of this video. I have to defend How I Met Your Mother. I simply must. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm going to try to defend Ted, the writing, season 9, and yes, even the ending. Let's start with Ted, because I know lately, as in the last couple of years, it's been a common talking point that Ted is actually awful and a sociopath or something. And sure, there are quite a few moments where Ted is in the wrong, or being an ass, or being a bad boyfriend, but that's the fucking point. I feel like a certain number of people think that since he's the main character, the show endorses his actions or gives him a pass, and it does to a certain extent, but trying to repaint him as a manipulator and narcissist is wrong. Is he slightly crazy and awful sometimes because normal, well-adjusted people don't usually make for good TV characters, especially on a sitcom? Yes. Is analyzing his actions objectively stupid because it's a TV show and absurdity is the point? Also yes. The thing that really bugs me about these videos is that they'll take one moment from the episode where Ted does something bad or wrong as proof of how terrible he is, and then just not mention the rest of the episode showing him in the wrong and or making up for it? Like, yes, he cheats on Victoria with Robin, but he is very clearly portrayed as in the wrong in this episode. Yes, he calls Lily a cunt and won't apologize. I wonder what'll happen in the next 15 minutes of the episode. They fight more and then Lily apologizes and Ted tries to, but Lily doesn't let him. My point is that Ted gets too much hate and looking at his actions in a vacuum is stupid. So please stop making Ted is the real villain videos. I need to try and defend season 9. Now, it's not great, definitely the worst season, but it's also the last season of a long-running network show, which basically means they had no more ideas left. Is that a good excuse? No, it's not, but I think it should be cut a little bit of slack. And besides, it's got some great moments, mostly the stuff with Ted and Tracy. That's another thing season 9 had to do, get the audience to like and care about Tracy, and holy shit did they do that. Kristen Melody does an amazing job, but now I have to defend the ending, and this isn't an uphill battle, it's a vertical fucking cliff. So I know that I'm in the minority with this one, but you're all wrong. Is the ending, and let's be clear by what I mean by ending, as in the 2-part finale, good? Not really, no, but is it the worst ending of all time like many people say? No, and it's not even fucking close. Go watch Lowercase Jai's video about 2.5 Men and then come back here. But unlike most sitcom endings, How I Met Your Mother has to do 2 separate things. Well, actually 3, but I'll get to that. Now, what the fuck am I talking about? Most last episodes simply have to give satisfying conclusions to the characters and wrap up the main plot, the point of the show. Sitcoms are different because they have no fucking point. The show is about the group of characters, so they just have to give them good endings. How I Met Your Mother also has to get Ted and Tracy to meet. That's how the show was promised to end 9 years earlier, with the meeting. So it's gotta wrap it all up, give the standard goodbyes that always happen, give the ending for all the characters, and then after that, have the meeting. So how was the meeting overall? It was fucking excellent. One of the best scenes in the entire show. I don't think anyone will argue that. So then how was the wrapping it up and saying goodbye part? It was fine. Really, standard stuff, normal sitcom ending. So then the conclusions for all the characters were satisfying? No, not really, because I need to mention the third thing that How I Met Your Mother's ending was trying to do: break up Barney and Robin. That whole season we spent getting ready for the wedding, they just get divorced right away. Most people hate the ending for this reason, and the fact that Barney goes back to his womanizing ways. But you're wrong if you think that, and no, I don't have a problem with them getting divorced. Like Barney says in the show,
Guys, it's okay. This isn't a failed marriage. It's a very successful marriage that happened to only last 3 years.
And it very much fits with the rest of the show. It was shown time and time again that Robin and Barney do not work together, so why would it be any fucking different in the ending? Marriages don't work sometimes. It happens. And I know the realism argument isn't that great because you can write whatever ending you want, but the show treated most of the relationships with realism, respect, and maturity, and this is just another time it's doing it. Sometimes things don't work. They still loved and cared about each other, but they were just unhappy being married, so they stopped. And to the people that dislike Barney going back to his womanizing ways, that is consistent with his character. What did he do after he and Robin broke up the first time, or after Nora, or after Quinn? Is it satisfying? Probably not, but it fits with the character. Also, all that character development that everyone claims to have just gone up in smoke didn't. It's still there, hence the ending we get when he has the kid. Everyone hates the ending because of Barney and Robin getting divorced. I hate the ending because Ted goes back to Robin. That's right, this title is a lie. Remember when I said this? I have to defend How I Met Your Mother. Call me H-Bomber guy, because that's not the fucking point either. The point is me trying to wrap my head around the writing choices of this show. Now, I'm gonna get a little heated for this part, so for all you bitches in my comments who complain about all the naughty words, too late, but there will be a lot more. Because how the fuck did they fuck it up so badly? What were they thinking? The writing team is good, and now this is the part where I have to defend the writing because it's very good. The thing you have to remember about network shows, especially sitcoms, is the point is to keep the show going for another season. That is the focus. And how do you get that done? Mostly by being good and well written, because if it's bad, then people won't watch and then you get canceled. Or you go until you run out of ideas, but that's usually when people stop watching anyways, and that was happening because 200 episodes is a lot of fucking episodes. But my point is that the writing of the show was very good. There's a reason why every season of the show averaged over 8 million viewers. The writing team was amazing. So how did they manage to trash it all? The ending was so important that it changes the way you watch it on a rewatch. Not in the Game of Thrones way where you don't even want to rewatch it because the ending sucked shit so bad, but because whole scenes and arcs have a completely different meaning and tone. Here's a fun little fact for you. The ending with the kids and Ted was filmed all the way back in season 2. Here's a side little fun fact. If they were going to get canceled in season 1, it was going to be revealed that Victoria was the mom, but that obviously didn't happen. Back to the original fun fact, they came up with it all the way back in season 2 and just sat on it until the very end, which would be fine. Basically, every season there's a thing with Ted and his feelings about Robin because at the end he goes back to her. But then, why the fuck would you show us time and time again that they do not work together? Why would you spend all this time setting her up with Barney if you're just gonna throw it away so she can end up with Ted? It doesn't make any fucking sense from a writing perspective. So then it makes you think that they were gonna go with the ending where he doesn't go back to Robin. Doing all the shit with Barney and Robin and how her and Ted don't work together, you would think they were writing ending 2. And to clarify, ending 1 is where he goes back to Robin and ending 2 is where he doesn't. But if they were writing with ending 2 in mind, then why the fuck would they write in all that shit about Ted still wanting to be with Robin? The two different endings seem like a small little change, and it kind of is, but it completely changes the meaning and overall vibes of everything. It's like they were trying to write a story with two opposite endings at the same time, which would be a ridiculous thing to do, especially from writers who are this good.
Barney, what is going on?
This is mine.
I don't understand.
JJ gets a childhood, a dad, a real family, and a basketball hoop? No, I at least get the hoop. I'm taking it with me.
Please, just come down and talk to me.
Why? Why should I? You're lame, okay? You're just some lame suburban dad.
Why does that make you so mad?
Because if you were gonna be some lame suburban dad, why couldn't you have been that for me?
It's been nice pretending to talk to you. Thanks for not calling me, and good night.
That's not your phone.
This isn't my phone.
Okay. Bye. I thought it was mine, so I answered it.
Was it?
It was your girlfriend. You might want to call her back.
But maybe they're not actually that good. Maybe I was just fooled and they're actually bad because who the fuck would write like that? Or it's a possible third option that I recently thought about. They kept throwing in all the shit with Ted and Robin to keep the ending where he goes back to her as an option and it would make sense. But that just seems also like a terrible way to write a story. And I already know what you're thinking. Kevin, what about the alternative ending where he doesn't go back to Robin? And to that I say, the alternative ending sucks shit because that's not the only thing it changes. Sure, Barney and Robin break up in both because, like I said earlier, they don't work together, but the other thing that gets changed is that Tracy doesn't die. And that is a horrible fucking change. It completely ruins the two best moments from season 8, well, really only one, but it makes the other one worse. For those wondering, it is the end of Farhampton, which, fun fact, the song that plays there is called The Funeral, a little nod to Tracy dying, and it totally ruins the end of Time Travelers because he wants those 45 days because she's dead.
I want those extra 45 days. With you, I want each one of them.
Her being alive takes it from a heartbreaking, soul-crushing moment to a sweet little moment, which is worse. And it ruins a couple in season 9, like this one.
Yeah, of course she showed up. What mother is going to miss her daughter's wedding? Oh, hey. No. Come on.
It's okay. I'm fine. I'm okay.
And let's get some shouts out for Josh Radnor here. He is doing an excellent job. But it also makes the part where Tracy sings La Vie en Rose worse, and I know a lot of people don't like the fact that they kept teasing the mom all these seasons, and then they spent an entire season getting us to like her, then to just kill her off. And I'll agree, her death was poorly handled, but it needed to happen. It also explains why Ted is telling the story in the first place. It does that in the original ending, but it changes it from your mom's dead and I still want to fuck Aunt Robin to let me tell you about how I met your mom even though she's never in the fucking story. It's crazy how both endings fuck it all up. It shouldn't have been that hard. Here, let me tell you how to do it. You got 44 minutes to fill of TV. 2-part finale. Do the typical goodbyes and wrapping everything up that all the shows do. Marshall and Lily don't really need any changes. Barney and Robin can stay together or break up. It doesn't fucking matter. Either way, we are gonna spend way less time focusing on their breakup and Sad Robin or their relationship as a whole. And with all this new time we have to fill, we can, I don't know, fill it with Ted and Tracy in the future together. See their relationship, see how they work. Because all the times we got it in season 9 were amazing. Just give us more of that. Then we can spend a couple minutes with her getting sick and dying, which would make her death have real meaning because we care about her even more. Then we go back to the train station where they meet, but nothing changes there because I have no notes. It's perfect. But as the camera pulls away, black screen, How I Met Your Mother, credits. Another reason I don't like the alternative ending is because cutting to Ted saying How I Met Your Mother at the end is not good. Just cutting straight to black is cleaner. Bing, bang, boom, you have an ending. It shouldn't have been that hard. And there's so much more of the show that I could talk about and so much more stuff that I didn't even mention at all, but this video doesn't need to be 2 hours long. I fucking love How I Met Your Mother. It's the best sitcom of all time, even with the ending. Rewatching just reminded me of that. I would love to talk to Carter Bays and or Craig Thomas. They created the show and were part of the writing team, writing the ending itself, because I am such a huge fan of the show, but also I need to know what the fuck they were thinking for that ending. And just like the show, I am not sure how to end this video, so if you are still here, thank you. Please like and subscribe if you liked it and you haven't already. Tell me what you thought of the show in the comments. I'm sure they will only be great things. And like always, I'll try to have my next video out within the next 6 months.